Yo, what is good, everybody? It's your boy Tej, and today I'm gonna be showing y'all how to make an intense virtual beat for Playboi Carti, Trippie Red, Yeat, like unotheactivist, those type of more synth heavy and darker sounding virtual beats. I made the entire beat from scratch, so I'm gonna be showing y'all my whole process of making the sample and adding drums to it. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy these types of videos, be sure to hit subscribe. As always, I'll have the finished beat played at the end of the video, so be sure to stick around for that. And with all that out of the way, let's just hop right into the beat. Alright, so before I jump in and break anything down, I'm going to show y'all a quick preview of the sample. For melodies like this, I'd recommend tempos, pretty much anything over 140. And the plugins that you might want to use for these type of melodies would be like Serum, maybe some Electra X. There's a couple of good one-shot kits out there that might have some pretty good virtual leads and stuff like that. For my melodies, I typically use a lot of presets from Serum. So jumping into the first melody here, I got this kind of like lead or synth sound that I made in Serum. The basis of the sound is just a couple saw waves, just with a little bit of effects and also adjusting the unison on them. I believe for the most part, this is a preset from like a cymatics pack or something. I just messed around with some of the knobs and a little bit of the effects. And so going into the MIDI, I made the first part of the sample in F sharp minor, and I pretty much just laid out the top portion of this here and then just added the lower notes later. And I was almost kind of just penciling out like a melody that I just heard in my head. And for the most part, these lower bass notes here are just exact copies of the notes but an octave down, except for these little intervals here. And for those, what I did is I just constructed the F sharp minor triad. I deleted the middle note and I just put the top note down one octave. And I routed that to a mixer track and I added this EQ on it. I put a low cut just to cut out some of the bassier frequencies. I pushed the highest parameter down a little bit just to lower the amount of treble that I have, because a lot of the other melodies that I do have a lot of high end, and I just didn't want this to conflict with that. And with these two bands right here, I just cut out some of the harsher frequencies in the low mids and mids. And for my next melody, I grabbed this lead sound again from Serum. This comes from the factory lead bank. And for this pattern right here, I more or less just made the first half of it and just copied it over for the full 8 measures. I wanted something that was kind of catchy, but I also didn't want it to be too repetitive. Again, for this pattern, I didn't think too much about the theory behind the lead. I was just thinking about a melody and humming it out and just penciling in the notes where I saw it fit. But there's still kind of like the same general theme of that I start on F sharp on all the odd measures. And I routed that sound to another mixer track and I put on this low pass EQ. I opened up RC20 and put the Vinyl 3 preset on. I think I adjusted the wobble a little bit and turned off the noise, and then opened up a Fruity Reverb and went to the Venue preset and adjusted the decay and the wet knobs a little bit. And then I opened up Guitar Rig and I got this distorted chorus type of preset. I turned the delay off and I turned the preamp down on the amplifier. So now the lead with the guitar amp sounds something like this. And then I opened up Serum again and I got this bass preset here, and I pretty much copied the bass notes from that first pattern. And I routed that to a mixer track and put on this EQ. And I put this on for the same reason I did for the first pattern, and that's just to cut out some of the extra treble. I didn't want it to clash too much with the other higher pitched sounds that I do have in the sample. So I rendered those first 3 patterns out as audio clips, and I put them into the arrangement and pitched them all down by 100 cents or 1/2 step. And then I added my last 2 melodies here. So the first thing I got was this bell sound. And I got that bell sound from a free producer grind kit, and using that I penciled in a few hits in our new key of F minor. And for effects on the bell, I put a low pass EQ, and then I just put a default fruity chorus on it and just turned the mix level down to about 33%. And for my last sound, I went into Electra X and I got this ARP preset from a bass go to preset bank. For this pattern, I used that same idea I did in the first original pattern by just using the F minor triad, except the only thing I did was I made it into a suspended triad by just moving the middle note down 1/2 step, which is the same thing as moving the third note in the scale down to the second, which makes this a suspended 2 chord. And once I had that, I pitched the top note down 1 octave. And this sound is really subtle compared to the rest, so I'm just gonna play it by itself. And once I had finished those last 2 patterns, I rendered those out as audio clips. I arranged the loop, stemmed it out, and then I rendered it out as a WAV file. So I opened up a new project file, and in here, I arranged the stems to my liking. I put the drums down, and I ended up completing the beat. So the first thing I put down was this clap, and I kept the pattern pretty basic, just keep it on the 3rd beat of every measure. And I put in what I think is the most complicated hi-hat pattern I think I'll ever have in a tutorial video. For the hi-hats, I put on a couple effects. The first being effect tricks. I put on the 1/8 tempo setting, and I just kind of went to town on the effects here. And then I added some stereo shaper and just turned this knob right here to the right a little bit. Next, I added a couple of snares, the first one being this one. And for my second snare pattern, it's just a couple rolls, and that's using this snare. And then I added a couple open hats, the first one being this one, and the other one being this. And for my last perk, I added this triangle, and I layered it every other time with the previous open hat. And then lastly, I just put in this 808 pattern. I use this longer, more like distorted clipping sounded type of 808. And I decided to keep it pretty simple. And my pattern loosely follows the same notes that were in the bass pattern and the sample. So that's all I got. I hope you all enjoyed the video and you found it helpful and were able to take something away from it. If you enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like. And if you want to see more content like this, be sure to hit subscribe. Let me know what you'd like to see me do next in the comments below. And that's going to be it for me. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace.